This is the American Huntsman podcast with your host, Logan Hanks.
Hey, everybody. Glad to have everybody join me today. I've got a beast joining today, and we were saying it's probably very fitting for the madness going on right now, and that's Mr. Pat McNamara. Mr. Pat, say hey there. Let everybody know you're there.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And thanks to your listeners for tuning in.
Awesome. Pat, most people listening probably by now know who you are or have seen, if nothing else, watched your basic dude stuff that is awesome.
Right.
But give us a quick rundown kind of on who you are and kind of what you do.
Well, I'm a retired military guy. I did 22 years in the Army, and it was all special ops time. My whole career was nothing but special ops. And my last 13 years, I was at USASOC Tier 1 unit. I retired in 2005, and I've been working under my own banner called TMACSINC since 2010, doing primarily tactical training. Yeah. So shooting and close quarter battle, that kind of stuff. But I also teach Sentinel course and combat strength training. So that's primarily what I do right now, and it's rewarding because I am giving good Americans good information and keeping them safe and creating assets rather than having a bunch of liabilities.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. And so if anybody was a quick summary is Pat is just the ultimate badass.
Right on. Appreciate it.
Hey, and I did want to tell you that probably the best thing that I ever saw, I was watching, I guess, the YouTube clip with you and Joe Rogan. And it was one of the comments was one of the best things I've ever seen. And it said, "This guy's voice has its own beard."
That's funny.
So I said that's fitting. That's what I told my wife. I said I'm gonna sound like a little girl on here next to Pat. But all right. Well, before we dive in, Pat, I like to do some kind of general questions just to kind of rattle the bones a little bit and get us fired up.
Yeah, right on.
All right. First one, you got to pick one of three.
All right.
Burgers, tacos, or pizza. Or you're giving up. You're giving up one. Which one are you giving up?
Ooh, giving up one.
Yeah.
See, there's a whole burgers, tacos, or pizza. I'm going to give up tacos.
Tacos. All right. Well, at least, I've told people again and again, burgers, that's the least given up, and I feel like that's the most American of all.
Right. Forget about it.
Yeah. All right, and I got this one specifically for you because I thought this would be a good one. Metallica or Megadeth?
I'm going with Megadeth.
Really?
And I appreciate that one. Here's the thing, and I can explain that a little bit. See, Megadeth was born out of Metallica. So Dave Mustaine wrote "Kill 'Em All," the first album with Metallica. I was a Metallica fan right from the start. And they have grown they are the biggest musical act on the planet. A heavy metal band.
Yeah.
Metallica.
Yeah.
The biggest musical act on the planet. That's unbelievable. But they went through a long period of kind of staleness,
Yeah. Yeah.
Up until their last album. The last album's good, but before that, they were very ebby and flowy, where I think Megadeth kind of maintained consistency. And the other thing with Megadeth is, without Dave Mustaine, there's no Megadeth. He's basically it.
Oh, yeah.
And he's probably my favorite guitarist out there. And the other bonus with Megadeth is you never know what band you're going to get because it's always new band members.
Yeah. They do swap around a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I appreciate that, and actually, I have always loved Metallica. I'm actually wearing a right now Ride the Lightning shirt,
Nice.
But I'll tell you, man, the album that they came out with, and some people might strongly disagree with me, but the one with crap, what was the name of that? The Day That Never Comes or whatever that one is. Man, I did not like it.
Right.
I mean, I guess I'm too hung up on the old stuff because, like when I'm riding around listening to Turbo and suddenly the song comes on and it's that intro and it's from The Unforgiven, and I'm getting pumped because I love The Unforgiven 1. And then I hear the next part, and it's The Unforgiven Part 2. It always makes me a little bummed out. So I get you on the staleness side for sure.
Right.
So awesome. Well, you got to watch the same movie for 24 hours in a row. What are you watching?
An easy one for me to go to is Forrest Gump.
Oh yeah,
because there's so much going on in it.
Yep.
The acting is great. The characters are great. There's so much going on in it. Let's just go with that one for right now.
Well, it's a great one, and actually, it's fitting for the times because Tom Hanks has freaking coronavirus.
That's right. Yeah.
What's your go-to whiskey?
Well, I'm more of a bourbon guy than I am a whiskey guy. So all bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskey is bourbon. That kind of thing. But so there's a company out of New York called TMACSINC Bourbon. Yeah. And oh my God, it's so freaking good. It's ridiculous.
Well, what's the TMACSINC? TMACSINC. Well, I'll try that. I love bourbon. Yeah, TMACSINC. TACONIC. Okay. Well, I'll check that out. I'll try to see if any of my local places have that. I love.
You might have to order it.
Okay, so it's kind of a harder one to get.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll try that. Bourbon. I don't even hardly drink beer anymore. I just like bourbon.
Yeah, man.
All right. Last one. If you could hunt with any president, past or present, who would it be? W. Yeah. Cool. He's just a man's man, and he wouldn't be stuffy, I could probably cuss around him and feel comfortable. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think to me that was an easy one. Yeah. Yeah. Because now the obvious one would be something like Teddy Roosevelt, but the thing is he would be in charge. I probably wouldn't have an opportunity to say anything. That's very true. I hadn't thought about that. You know what I mean? Yeah, I have not thought about that.
He's got such a massive personality. Yeah. I just think I've met him once, and he's so freaking down to earth. Yeah.
He seems like he would be. I've never met him, but he does seem like, and he's a Texan. I mean, yeah, right. He does. He seems like a pretty just chill, normal dude. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Pat, kind of tell us, man, a little bit about your background. I've listened a lot, like I said, on the University of Badassery, and it's something that you have had a very hardcore military career, and so I'll tell you, it surprised me when I heard that you were a bird watcher, like growing up. So, give us kind of a background, man. Who was Pat growing up?
I was. I got to tell you, man, I was the good kid amongst a lot of bad kids. Yeah, yeah. It was very easy in my neighborhood to fall off tracks and lean to one side and go the route of petty thievery and drug addiction and crap like that. Yeah. So I don't know how it happened, but I'm very fortunate that it went like that.
For sure.
Because even my brothers turned out bad. And most of the kids I hung out with in the neighborhood, same. They teased me a lot, even though I had some friends, because I had all the sissy hobbies. Yeah. I mean, I was interested in everything, but I was really big into nature. Yeah. So I was always find myself in the woods, and thankfully we had a lot of it when I was growing up. It was easy just to get lost out there in the Connecticut woods. But yeah, I drew, I rode a unicycle. I was into weird stuff. Yeah. And bird watching was one of them. And that stuck with me forever. I still do it every day is an opportunity to see something you haven't seen in a while, or maybe that you haven't seen at all. It's a hobby that is sustainable in that it has no end. You're not going to see every bird in the world. There's no way.
Oh yeah.
And even continental U.S. There's so much to see, and I feel bad for people who don't even know the difference between, let's say, a falcon and a chimney swift.
Yeah.
And I mean that seriously. There's people just don't know. They're unaware to what is growing and living around them. And birds, it's easy. It's an easy hobby, and it's dirt cheap to do too. Binos and a bird guide. That's it. That's all you need.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now when you were in the military, were you able to kind of continue that? Because you probably got to travel around did you get to see a lot of more birds, I guess, in that instance?
Yeah. But when you're working, you're working. So, I mean, there were opportunities here and there, but mostly it's when I'm stationary or taking some vacation or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were opportunities.
Yeah.
But it never goes away. There's always some. I've had more opportunities since I retired.
Yeah. Now
way more.
Did you growing up? Now I know you're into fishing now. Did you hunt or fish or anything growing up?
Yeah, all of it. Now my family, they weren't big hunters.
Yeah.
Where some families that's a way of life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a way of life because great grandfather, that's how he put food on the table, and then it got passed down to grandfather, to father, to son, etc. Fishing was always a way of life for us, and that's both growing up in Connecticut, that's streams, rivers, and that's the ocean as well.
Oh yeah,
streams and rivers were the best because New England has some really great fly fishing, some of the best in the country as far as fly fishing goes. Yeah, and I'm talking great, big, gigantic browns and rainbows. Awesome. I mean, lunkers, massive. Yeah. So I started fly fishing around age 9-ish, right around there. And my dad taught me on a river called the Farmington River that runs through Connecticut. Very picturesque. It kind of goes through small towns and rock walls and water wheels and, 18th century architecture and buildings that are still standing.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, apple orchards and all that. And the fly fishing there was just freaking great. And I just went last year to the Farmington River again, and it's managed well too.
Really?
In other words, they have a really good trout program, and massive portions of the river are barbless hook catch and release, which I think is great.
Yeah, it keeps it.
Because unlike hunting, fishing, you shouldn't be into it to put food on the table. It's a way to connect with nature and to kind of bask in its beauty. And when it comes to trout, man, they are gorgeous animal. The colorings and the speckles and the stripes and the patterns, they are pretty magnificent.
Oh yeah,
and they are fun to catch, man. Fun.
Well, that's what I actually have. I like to bass fish and crappie fish and catfish. I have actually never gone trout fishing yet. Now I got a cousin of mine that when he graduated from college, he got an opportunity to go actually to Alaska and guide, and he guided for I'm gonna say a lot of rainbow trout and some of them, and he actually said, and then it's like you're saying, it was all catch and release on the trout, because he said it was like, I think even the locals around there, it was like very bad if you did not release the trout.
Yeah, right.
So, but yeah. So,
I mean, there are times when I'll keep them. I go to Montana every year to the Rocky Mountains and do a privation walk, and I kind of gather small stuff, traps and snares and fish. And I'll eat four trout a day up there.
Yeah. Now they're bony, aren't they? Bony fish?
No, the ones I'm eating when I go are cutthroat trout.
Yes, sir.
And in my opinion, the best eating trout there is. There's I can't. I mean, I want to state that as fact, but I know somebody will disagree with me. But cutthroat trout are the best eating fish, and if you cook them right, you don't worry about the bones.
Yeah.
Cooking a trout is an art form, and you don't have to worry about the bones if you cook them, because once you cook them, you just grab the head and shake the meat into right into a plate or whatever you're eating off, and then you're left with nothing but the head and the skeleton.
Really? So it just shakes right out?
Oh yeah, if you cook it right. Yep, just shakes right out, and yep, and then you could salvage the eyeballs if you want, and the cheeks, and just burn the rest of it. Burn that sucker.
Oh, dang. Well, yeah, I've tried that. I've never had cutthroat either. I mean, I like I said, man, I'm a pretty boring guy when it comes to the fishing. It's pretty much like I said, crappie, bass, and catfish.
Yep.
But I love to eat it all.
Yeah.
So you but now you said hunting too. What'd y'all do? Primarily deer hunting?
Yeah, Connecticut. That's where it was because I mean, there's way more deer now than there were, a couple hundred years ago. Yeah, because we've got this massive food supply for them, and so it was almost like, I mean, deer, and that's with the you had buck and doe season, but yeah, and then small stuff too. We hunted with 22, squirrels. Oh yeah, a lot of those. Yeah, a lot of those. I've gotten good recently at cooking squirrel, because here we have in North Carolina. You might have them there. I don't know. We have the fox squirrels.
Oh yeah, we got fox and grays here.
Yeah, and they're gigantic, man. And I'll tell you, you cook a squirrel right, and that is some good eating.
Hey, I'll tell you, my dad, he got it from my grandmother. She actually, now there's a lot to it, but they pressure cook them and then fry them.
Oh, right on. Cool. Yeah.
And that's because that's what, I mean, if you don't get it cooked right, it's tough. It'll be really tough. And that's how he always, and so he learned it from his mom, and that's how he cooks them now. He'll pressure cook them and then does that. And man, it's freaking good. Nice. Now on the hunting side, and I'm glad you talked about cooking. You put up a video, and I want to know, man, you had some venison and some aluminum foil, and you said low and slow. What that looked good. What was it? Was that backstrap? What did you? I mean, kind of.
Yeah, it was backstrap and a roast that my neighbor gave me. I have chickens and abundance of eggs, so I'll bring him eggs. And he's got a ton of venison because he's an avid hunter. He goes out, he has more venison than he knows what to do with. So I'm happy to trade with him. I think, it was the roast. It wasn't the backstrap. It was the roast. And so I thought, this isn't going to be as good as the backstrap, because the backstrap I could do a lot with. I use that for like soups. Yeah. And it's so good in the soup. I cube it super, super small. But so this guy cooked just like I would cook my ribs. So garlic, a little bit of olive oil, some barbecue sauce, salt and pepper. Yeah. And then I cut it kind of in strips, in length strips, and then cooked it at 225 for 5 hours, and that's with a tight seal on a flat tray. Yes, sir. And then sealed it with tinfoil. So just like you would, like if you were cooking pork ribs in the oven, I cooked it the same way.
I got you. Well, it looked good.
Yeah, it was spectacular.
225 for 5 hours.
Yep, low and slow. Yep, covered well.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that because that's what when I saw that, that's what I told my wife. I said I got to figure out how he's doing that because that looked good. Because I could tell, man, when you took the fork, it looked like it just tore off like nothing. I mean, it's super tender.
Just crumbled. Yeah, just crumbled. Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. Well, Pat, tell us, man, how the military service. I mean, man, how did that start? How did you go, like you say, from a kid that was into the kind of, I guess you say, the unusual things? How did you go from that to, I mean, a freaking hardened dude in the military? How'd that happen?
Well, I went through a metamorphosis in my teens where it was like a sink or swim.
Yeah.
I had to toughen up, and in that process, I joined the wrestling team, and I ended up getting pretty good at that. So I knew that after I graduated, I thought the best route for me after high school was to join the military.
Yeah.
So I kind of pursued that on myself and did all the research. I had no idea, about what was anything in the military.
Yeah, this was long before the time of all the fame on the like Navy SEALs and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. There was no big, there were movies. I mean, John Wayne did the Green Berets in the 70s.
Yeah.
But there weren't a lot of like spec ops type of movies back then. But I did read the book First Blood because I forget when that was written in the 70s, I believe.
Yeah.
But I read that and I went, oh my God, man, I want to be a spec ops guy.
Yeah.
But I had no idea. So I talked to all the recruiters, just went to each one of them and just chatted with them. And, and the recruiters, they're going to hand you a line of bullshit in hopes to recruit you.
Yeah.
And at the time, the Army had the best answer for me because I could fast track into badassery. I could either go Airborne Ranger, try to go Airborne Ranger, or try to go Special Forces.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And, my dad blessed off on it, and he came and talked to the recruiter as well with his lawyer.
Dang, really?
Just in case the recruiter was handing me a pile of shit. My dad was looking out for me.
Yeah.
And,
hey, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Now, real quick, what's the difference between the Green Berets and the Rangers? Like, what are is one a strike force versus?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's mission set. So yes, Rangers is a strike force. Direct action.
Yeah.
Airport seizures. Ambushes, raids, that kind of thing. Where Special Forces does a lot. Their lineage is guerrilla warfare and clandestine stuff, a lot of cloak and dagger and surreptitious type of movements, and then working with indigenous forces, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, pretty substantial difference. It's funny because of the GWAT, the Global War on Terror, a lot of the jobs became pretty similar, with special ops guys.
Yeah.
Rangers were doing the same stuff that SF was. SF was doing the same stuff that Rangers were. Just whoever, because everybody wanted a piece of it. Like, hey, man, I don't care what the mission is. If it's special ops, I'm going, man. I'm friggin'
Yeah. I've heard guys talk about that in the military, that especially on the special forces side, that have trained. And I mean, they're, I've obviously never been to war, but you hear them say war is hell, and I can't imagine. But the special ops guys, man, by the time they've trained and stuff, they're freaking ready to go to war.
And that's what they want to do. I mean, that's why you go special ops, because you want to fight in combat. I mean, there's no, that's why you go.
Yeah.
Because you want to be utilized. You want all this training to pay off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you've met with the recruiter, you decide Army, and so you I guess you go to, is that then after basic, what do you go to, selection?
No, after basic, you go to jump school. And then after jump school, I started the pre-phase. Back then, they didn't have the selection and assessment for the SF course. It was just called pre-phase. And just a beat down, just hell. Just a freaking just an absolute torture fest.
I'm sure.
They just wanted to trim the fat.
Yeah.
And, oh man, it sucked so freaking bad.
Do you think it was harder then than it is now?
No, I don't think so. No. I don't think so.
Good. Well,
I think they've maintained, consistency throughout the years, and yeah.
Good.
I don't think so.
Good. I didn't know because everything now has to be so politically correct.
Right.
So that's what I always was afraid, because I mean, America, man, people can say what they want, but and we've got the most badass military, and
you ain't wrong. Yeah.
And see, that's what I'm like. I don't want, if anything, the political correct crap is spilling into like comedy, ruining comedy, but it better not ruin our freaking military.
Right.
Awesome.
Well, it won't ruin the special ops side.
Yeah. Well, like I said, that's probably a different breed too. I'm sure, like you said, guys that go into that, they probably aren't going in scared they're going to get deployed. They want to get deployed.
Yep.
So now, man, in the military, and like you said, special ops and doing this, the hardcore stuff you're doing, what about something I was going to ask on fear? Because, man, as hardcore as you are in that, you've got to feel some fear. Do you? How do you cope with that? What do you deal with on that?
Well, I think people manage it differently, and it can also be quelled. Fear can be quelled depending on your level of training. So if you're trained very well, you're definitely more confident.
Yeah.
And but we all, fear getting hurt or getting dead. And I think, looking back at the times where I was, kind of had a high level of anxiety, I just remember saying to myself, you know what? It's probably not going to hurt that much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And there's been several times in my career where I thought for sure, well, I am getting ready to die. Yep, I'm getting ready to die. And that's what I did with it. I just said, well, you know what? It's probably not going to hurt that much.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. And I've probably said that a dozen times during my career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's one way of looking at it, I guess.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, and I feel like that spills over even on the civilian side, because, man, I know myself, if there's ever anything that I'm like afraid of doing or starting, it's almost the fear of it. You hear and I guess it's almost cheesy, but they say the fear of the thing is worse than the actual fear, like, of actually doing it or whatever. And
absolutely.
And that's true, man. I think that's true. And I guess you would agree with that.
Yep. Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's a buddy of mine, Tony Blauer. He teaches fighting styles and mindset and stuff. He's got speaking of that right there, which you just mentioned, he has got a great acronym for fear. So, when you said, fearing, however you put it,
the fear, the fear of the thing is actually worse, I guess, than actually doing it.
So his acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Now Tony, is that the Real World Tactical guy?
No, that's a different Tony.
Okay, I know that one. I knew one Tony Blauer. Okay, but false evidence appearing real. I'm gonna remember that. I like that. And that's, man, I feel like you know, as you were saying, you know, military and doing all this, and I feel like everybody has a level of fear, and you know, I mean, even for me, just starting a podcast, you know, you're like, well, what if it's terrible or something? Like you think these kind of things, and but so I think most people, or a lot of people, get so paralyzed by fear that they never even start.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's a shame. Yeah. Because, you know, and that's not so much fear, that's anxiety. And a little bit of anxiety is good because it keeps us in check and it makes sure that we, you know, are able to see the forest through the trees, and that we just don't dive in head first, you know? So a little bit of it is good so long as it's managed.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it's necessary. It's necessary in life to succeed, that little bit of anxiety. And it's a shame that people, you know, feel that way. It's like, well, you know what? Because they're doubting themselves. Yeah. And that's a horrible thing, you know, because when you doubt yourself, you're defeated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You mean this? Yeah, absolutely. Now, on that same thing, you know, the things that can feed into that anxiety or give into that. And I mean, with your resume of things, do you have to deal with people hating on you?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, of course.
That blows my mind.
Now it's not many, because I'm pretty careful. Like, so I have a big footprint on all the social media platforms.
Yeah.
YouTube, Instagram, you name it. And I try to keep my content very clean.
Yeah.
And I try to explain stuff and articulate it and keep it interesting and fun. So the guys I got hating on me, I think they just have major issues, you know? Well, because, and I don't mind, and I rarely hate, I never hate back, and I rarely respond.
Yeah.
If I do respond to a hateful comment riddled with douchebaggery, it's a response like, thanks, exclamation point, or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's typically my response. But yeah, I get it. And I don't mind. And normally I just let the interwebs take care of it, because I've got a lot of, I got my fan base, trusts me and they support me. And that's what I do all that stuff for, because they fire me up. So I want to fire them up in return.
Yeah.
And they will defend me, you know, and they'll hammer that creeper, you know, on the interwebs. They'll hammer him hard.
Yeah. Well, man, it's unfortunate to me that there's people that have nothing better to do with their life than to just talk crap about people.
Yep.
I don't know. I can't get it. I genuinely, you know, I try to be a good person. And so like, it's just, I just can't grasp the people that they like thrive off of the negativity of hating on people. So, but that's wild to me. I always get a kick out of it when guys like you and like Joe Rogan get haters, because it's like, man, with the experience you have, and then with Joe, he's like a black belt in like 2 or 3 different martial arts. And like, I'm like, man, either one of these guys, you would never say this to them in person. Like nobody would walk up to you and say this stuff like to your face that they say on a keyboard. So that's always what trips me out. I'm like, man, these people would wreck you in real life. And but because you're safely behind this keyboard, you feel good to go. So. Yeah,
you know, I get it, man. It's the day and age in which we live, and that shit's gonna happen. And you know, I'm putting myself out there, so I know it's gonna happen to me, and it does, and it doesn't freaking bother me.
Yeah,
because you know why? Because I have a clean conscience. I know I'm doing right.
Yeah.
And the softest pillow is a clean conscience.
Absolutely. Well, Pat, you have a ton of hobbies. Do you think, and I've kind of talked about this with some others, men need hobbies? Would you agree?
Yeah. Yes. There's no doubt. Because one is it's therapeutic.
Yeah.
Right. Hobbies are therapeutic. Number two, it's very good to feed the mind. You want to feed your mind, you know. And if it's a creative hobby, you're exercising the poetic lobe of your brain.
Yeah.
You know, and the stronger that is, the stronger your analytical side is going to become. So I think they're extremely necessary for health, for mind health. You know, and you want to sustain that mind health for as long as possible.
Yeah.
You know, when we get older, you know, there's proof out there. The more hobbies you have, the more you exercise that brain, the longer that brain stays sharp.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not talking just like reading, but actually creating something, maybe doing something with your hands, building something. Could be writing music or learning a language, whatever it is. Yeah, it's very important. I think so.
Yeah, that's I agree, and that's what I've touched on this before in other episodes where, you know, as a farmer, man, I know a lot of guys in farming that it becomes more than their job, and it becomes your life, and then like guys that, you know, used to enjoy themselves, now all they do or all they think is farming, and I mean, look, I am for maximizing your career, obviously, but I think there needs to be a separation there. I mean, like, I'm sure when you were in the military, you probably still enjoyed your hobbies.
Yep. Did a lot of, let me see, the ones that were easy, because I could travel with them with drawing, so the artwork. Yeah. And then, you know, making small stuff with my hands, you know, working on the cars I had, that kind of stuff. And then every once in a while, cutting free and doing some fishing, even if it was for a half an hour somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was probably very necessary.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah. How we had it.
Well, on that, man, kind of, I guess we jumped off the military thing. I did want to touch, man, what was there ever, I had a buddy that was in the Marine Corps, and he was telling me about a moment when they were supposed to go, he was in, I think, Fallujah, and they were supposed to go into this house. They had some gunshots come out of it, and he said that he was just, I guess, standard infantry, and they were getting ready to go in, and they had the, what's the rapid response, QRF, is that right?
Yep. Yeah, sure. Yep.
He said they showed up, and they were going to go clear the building, and so he didn't have to go in. They sent the QRF team to clear it, and he said that 3 of those guys got killed when they went in, and because they were, you know, hiding out in this, I guess, building over there and waiting on them. And he said 3 of the Marines got killed, and he was like, man, you know, it was just wild, because he said, I knew, he's like, I thought about it later. I'm like, if I had gone, I probably would have been one of those guys.
Yep.
Did you have any crazy moment like that in the military? I'm sure you did, that you can recall.
Nothing similar to that right there. Like, you know, where it was my turn, somebody else went, and something catastrophic happened.
Yeah.
No, nothing that I can compare to that right there.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had a bunch of crazy times in the military, but nothing comparable to that.
Yeah. What could you say what is one of the crazier times? Are you allowed to tell me?
Yeah, if I could think of it. I suck at military anecdotes unless I'm giving an example. Yeah. You know, like tell me about a time when this, or, you know,
man,
you know what I mean? Because it was a long ass career, and there's a lot of there's a lot of clutter in my head.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I would just say, I guess it's hard for me to say is because I'm a civilian, but I would say probably the most, and it's still going to be a broad question, but I guess the most hardcore moment, like what was probably one of your closest near-death moments in the action, I guess.
Well, it's not glamorous, getting shot at, coming into a target on a Blackhawk and getting shot at by RPGs. It's not, that's really not glamorous, or it's just scary as hell. And it's one of those times when you go, well, probably not going to hurt too much because we're just going to go down in a big ball of fire and a massive explosion.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
So not super glamorous. I'm afraid. I was pretty fortunate. I got hurt a lot in training, but never in like a combat situation.
Well, I guess if you're going to get hurt, that's the best place to get hurt then.
Yeah.
Now, and on that, man, you're hardcore into working out. Now, you've had some injuries, and I'm glad you said that because you've had some back injuries before, haven't you?
Yeah, I've had, let me see. So I had a discectomy, L5S1. They take out the center of your disc because of disc herniation. And that's from just a combination of vehicle crashes, helicopter crashes, fast roping gone bad.
Yeah.
I had my right knee reconstructed, ACL, meniscus, my left bicep I tore and it got pulled into my forearm.
Wow.
So I had to have that repaired. My right shoulder, I was driving into work, so it really doesn't count as work related, but I was driving into work on on a dirt bike through the woods.
Yeah.
I T-boned a deer.
Wow. There you go.
Going about 50. Going about 50. Yeah. So I had to have my shoulder repaired and then a bunch of broken bones.
Yeah.
Yeah, more than a dozen.
Dang. So, all right. Well, I say all that to say you still work out hard.
Yeah. Bro, motion is lotion, man. If I don't work out, I'm gonna rust up like the Tin Man.
Yeah. So working out keeps you would probably hurt worse if you quit working out.
No doubt.
Now,
everything will seize up.
Yeah. Have you had to kind of learn, does your back, and I ask this really a lot because I guess I was born with a curve in my spine at the bottom.
Scoliosis?
Yeah, it's something like that. It curves to the left, and then in doing so, it's caused some degeneration in my lumbar vertebrae, and so there's certain things that I can do that will trigger that a lot worse than others. So that's what I asked kind of specifically that to you. Is there certain things you've had to stop doing or change? I mean, as far as your back?
No, I do everything now that I used to do, but I do it smarter.
Yeah.
For instance, I don't need to impress anybody by lifting super, super heavy.
Yeah.
So I kind of dialed back on that, and then I'm tentative when it comes to training too hard because I don't want to freaking jack myself up working out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's called fitness, not brokenness.
Yeah. I'm kind of bad about that. I want to go hard, and then I'll do something like, if I know deadlifts are going to flare my back up, but I'm just so hard-headed and want to do deadlifts anyways, and I'll do them and then pay for it for 3 days. And then I'm not worth a crap for 3 days. And it's now I'm working against myself at this point. So that's what I just wondered if you'd kind of, because I know you do a lot of it look like sandbag and bag type work. I've seen you do where you pick the bag up and twist and put it up and grab it. Is that pretty good?
Yep.
I guess that limbers up the spine and stuff real well.
Yeah, I do a lot of transverse, a lot of rotational stuff, tons of it, because that's great for your hips and your back and your flexibility. And people neglect that, that rotational work when they're working out.
Yeah.
And that's what they need to do more than anything, especially as you get older. You need to do that rotational.
Yeah.
So build that good core, that solid, middle body strength.
Yeah. Well, now how important in today would you say fitness is? Because we've gotten incredibly soft. What I would say as just people in general, life is so easy. Now you can literally order everything, and now you go to the grocery store, you don't even have to get out of your car, and so I feel like we're just getting softer and softer.
Yeah. So how important it is depends on the person, right? It's all relative, really.
Yeah.
To me, it's extremely important because you probably heard me say there's 4 reasons why we should exercise. One is self-preservation, longevity, stronger, longer.
Yeah.
Number 2, the ability to save your life. Number 3, the ability to save somebody else's life. And number 4, the ability to kick somebody's ass.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I want to be able to do all those things for as long as possible.
Yeah.
And, I'm in charge of, my wife's protection and my community. If somebody's in trouble, I never want to relinquish an opportunity to be Batman. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that ties in well right now with what we're going on, the coronavirus.
Yep.
What do you, man, all right, in my area, I don't know if it's the same way in yours, but all of a sudden there's no toilet paper. And I don't know the symptoms of the coronavirus. I don't know if it gives you explosive diarrhea, but there's no TP, and it's all this panic and people buying stuff. To me, it screams, man, there was a lot of people that were completely unprepared for something like this, and they're so unprepared, they have absolutely no earthly idea how to even handle something like this. What are your thoughts on the madness right now that is the coronavirus?
I've forecasted it. I've talked about it for years, about how people will lose their minds when there's a crisis. I've been preaching it for years. Yeah. So, the people who follow me, I've been giving them tips. I've been telling them for years, hey, do this, prep, do this kind of workout. Make sure you're ready for when things go bad. Don't be one of the sheeple. Keep your car at 3/4 of a tank. Have food, have water, have fuel, have medical gear, have all this stuff. Because the sheeple, which is most of the population, aren't going to do that stuff. The sheeple are going to lose their minds. And you know what? And frankly, man, when it comes to something like this, I've been trying to help the sheeple. Yeah. And if they're suffering, it's on them. It's very unhuman, it's to not be prepared. Humans innately, we're opportunists, hunter-gatherers, that kind of thing. And these people have not been gathering.
Yeah. They're just, it's like that separation from I guess our ancestors and who we are. And that, right. And not to jump in, but that's kind of what I laugh. And this kind of ties in even with hunting, this big anti-hunter push, and if somebody wants to be a vegan, that's fine, but they want to push this vegan movement and stuff. And I'm like, man, it makes me it's crazy to me to sit back and think the people that are alive today are here because their ancestors were successful hunter-gatherers.
Right.
They survived because of, like you said, they were prepared and they did this. And now it's like, man, look where we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so now you get all these sheeple wanting to buy guns, and they're talking about hunting and stuff. Just that the sheeple don't know, if they go out in the woods, they're not sure where the Oreo cookies live.
Yeah. Well, there is no aisle 6 out there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, and guns, man. I mean, that's what it's just, I don't know, just altogether the times are wild. Like we're in the heat of it is 2020. So we got the election coming up, and I don't know if you followed much for that. I got a kick out of that Beto O'Rourke that said, "Hell yes, we're coming after your AR-15s."
Yeah,
guys like that just trip me out.
That's why 2A is in place for guys like him.
Yep,
that's exactly what it's in place for.
Yep. Do you think we'll see that? I mean, you think
no.
You don't think we'll ever?
Who's going to enforce it? The police aren't going to enforce it.
Yeah.
And the military damn sure isn't going to enforce it because they're all gun guys too.
Yeah, you probably don't. Yeah, most of them guys didn't join because they hate guns.
Right.
So I've wondered that because I got my dad's friend. He's a colonel in the Marines, and I asked him. I was like, man, what do you think? I said, whose side would the military be on? And he was like, man, he said, they're not going to start shooting civilians because the government now wants them to give up their guns.
Well, and the sad news is they could come take mine, but I recently lost all of my guns in a boating accident. So, I'm just going to have to tell them I'm sorry, but man, just lost them all. Boating accident.
It's funny that you said that. I actually had the same happen to me. A buddy of mine on Facebook the other day was like, we need to go shoot. And I told him, I said, man, I was out on the Mississippi River for some reason, like a dummy. I had all my guns and ammunition in that boat. And it capsized and I lost it. So, I mean, we're in such a weird time politically. And so I don't know. I've seen some stuff. Do you think we'll see this martial law thing go in on this coronavirus?
I think it's small scale, I think they'll name it something else rather than martial law because that's scary.
Yeah.
It's ominous. But they might have to, like for instance, National Guard's been deployed to some states, but to hand out food and water and that kind of thing. Yeah. So there's a presence there, but they're not going to have guns on them and stuff like that. I don't think we'll get, they might, to maintain some order if there's places that are just out of control,
Yeah.
But I don't see it. I don't see that.
Well, good. Yeah. I mean, you see it on Facebook. There's some people that like everything is a conspiracy and, martial law and all this is going to go in. And man, I don't know. I'm sure, there is some stuff going on that I don't know what's going on, but I don't feel like everything has to be a conspiracy.
Right. Yeah. Well, those people have the biggest mouths and, the squeaky wheel gets the oil and they want to squeak their asses off with all that bullshit.
Yep. Hey, now we kind of touched on guns, man. I've never got to shoot one fully automatic. Is it as awesome as it looks?
Well, like a rifle fully automatic, to me, it's a waste of a selector switch. I just think it's a horrible waste of ammo.
Yeah.
Now, when you're talking true serve weapon, like, belt fed machine gun, freaking awesome. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would think. Yeah. Now, what on the rifle? Because is it hard, I guess, at that point to maintain like your accuracy and stuff if you're shooting full auto?
Yeah, man, you're spraying and praying at that point,
Yeah.
Yeah, put that selector switch on full auto and just get some. That's just spraying and praying. Yeah, I'm not about that at all.
Yeah. But on the belt fed, it's ready to roll. I guess that's usually a mounted firearm anyways, isn't it?
Right. Yep.
Cool. Well, at some point I got to shoot one. I've yet to shoot full auto. I'll bump fire like an AR or AK, but that's as close as I've come to full auto.
Just get out there to Vegas, man. They have all those ranges. Come shoot a machine gun.
Yeah. I need to. I guess I need to go try it out. I see the videos. I want to shoulder fire a Barrett 50. I've seen some pretty cool videos of them guys. Just the whole shock wave like around the room coming out. Well, man, what as we kind of near the end here, did you ever imagine the reach that you'd have?
Oh, hell no. I never did. It started slow. My wife got me into social media, and I recognized what people wanted from me. Yeah. So I kept doing more of that. And, there's a learning curve there, but no, I had no idea. Dude, man, it's freaking getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
All the time, every day.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I tell people about you all the time. The basic dude stuff, like I said, I got a good friend of mine that I sent him one of your videos because I was like, man, you'll love the basic dude stuff. And
hell yeah.
Just the other day, I saw he put up something on YouTube or on Facebook, and he put hashtag basic dude stuff. So
right on, yeah.
It's I mean, that thing
has grown. That has really grown, the basic dude stuff.
Oh man, and I love watching them. They're awesome.
Yeah.
But on that, I mean, when did that really take off? Because I mean, man, you were on Joe Rogan, which is like, that's like the cream of the crop on podcasts. I mean, he's the top of the chain. So I mean, how long did it take for it to take off for you?
For my presence or the basic dude stuff?
I guess your presence.
Oh, before I went on Rogan, I was getting pretty big, with several 100,000 followers on IG and had like, 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. But after Rogan, it blew up. I went up 100,000 in a week on my IG and like 50,000 on my YouTube channel. So that was a big platform, man. That really helped me out a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, his show is just, I would say, pretty much the number one podcast, probably.
Yeah.
Now, what drives you? What keeps you going, man? What fuels you?
So the number one thing that fuels me is knowing that I'm fueling other people.
Yeah.
The responses I get from other people, and that I am assisting them in improving their way of life gives me drive, a lot of satisfaction. It's very fulfilling.
Yeah.
So that's my main driver, really, is the people who I am driving.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Yeah. I've always heard that, especially you hear a lot of the guys that kind of reach high, like elite levels, they always say giving back is like the best thing.
Yep. No doubt.
Do you believe that there is a such thing as a self-made man?
Yeah, of course.
Cool.
Yeah. Self-made.
Yeah. But I mean, like, no help along the way. The dude just clawed his way to the top on his own.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I do believe that. I mean, 100% no. Yeah, I mean, you need help, you need mentorship, you need good peers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I guess then if I'm going to say that you do need an assist and advice from people, then no. But I'm pretty much self-made. Nobody helps me along the way. I was given some advice, given some like affirmation from people, pushed one way or the other. But yeah, I think you can be self-made.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I agree. Man, what's next? What's next for you?
Well, everything's kind of up in the air right now. I think one of the things that I'm going to exploit is I'm going to start a coaching group on the interwebs. So that's going to be a big thing next for me. Do a coaching, like motivational type of feed.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Yep. And I might do some remote TV stuff. I talked with a TV production company today.
Oh, heck yeah, man. That'll be awesome.
Well, the thing is, TV can't make TV right now.
Yeah.
So they're looking at different avenues, like people doing a show from home.
Yeah. Would it be motivational or marksmanship? Would it be your gun stuff or motivation, or what kind of stuff?
I think flavor of the day right now,
Yeah.
Like basic skills, basic dude stuff, really.
That would be a pretty legit show, just basic dude stuff.
Right. Yep.
Cool. Well, awesome. And I mean, just, man, I'm pumped up. I like I say, every time I watch stuff, I get pumped up. I tried you did inspire me. I've got a sledgehammer, and I did that thing where you put your arms on like a box and you walk your fingers up it. Holy crap, man. That is a freaking forearm killer.
That's right.
Like, watching the video does not do justice on how difficult that is.
Nope. Sure doesn't, man. All that shit reads easy, but until you try it.
Yeah. Well, that's what anybody listen. You need to look him up. What is your handle on Instagram? Is it TMAC or what?
Yeah, my handle on Instagram is at TMACSINC. TMACSINC.
All right, y'all need to go look at that. And, I mean, you'll see a ton of awesome workouts and motivation there. You need to find one where he's got this sledgehammer and he's like spider crawling his fingers up it to walk it up. And, yeah, it is. I tried it with a 16-pound sledgehammer.
Too heavy.
Yeah, it was. It was too heavy. I got an 8-pound sledge, and I used it. 16. I was like, yeah, this is not happening. But that one was awesome. But man, and I enjoy the crap out of your videos there, and I want to see you keep doing it and keep hammering because. Man, I like them. And like I said, every buddy of mine that I show to, they enjoy the crap out of them too. So
very good, man. I appreciate you spreading the word.
For sure. And I mean, hey, I'm glad to see, you, especially the teaching on firearms, because there's so much, I feel like, negative about guns and stuff today, and this portrayal of guns as like the big villain, and and like, but the amount of misinformation that gets spread is what drives me insane. Like, I would venture to say that a vast majority of the people out there think that an AR-15 that you buy is fully automatic. Like they just think it's a machine gun.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but they've been led to believe that.
The vast majority of the people out there are stupid when it comes to, when it comes to firearms, no doubt. Yeah.
Well, and again, that's why I appreciate what you're doing, and man, I really appreciate the message that you put out, and I think that I know you've made a positive impact in my life, and I think you are continuing to do so in a lot of other people's lives as well. So
yeah, man, I hope so. I'm going to keep it up.
Good deal. And the podcast now, University of Badassery. People, y'all need to check it out, and it's awesome. Where else? What's your website?
TMACSINC.com.
TMACSINC.com. And is there courses?
And then I got a YouTube channel, Pat Mac.
Yeah, that's right. That's where I've been watching a lot of your. I was actually showing my wife the basic dude stuff earlier on there.
Right.
Now on the website, is there courses, or is it all right now? Is it all in person, or what kind of stuff do you have on there?
No, I have all my course info up there.
Okay.
Yep, on the website. Yep.
Cool. Well, everybody, I encourage you to go check that out. Pat, man, I really appreciate you doing the show. It's been a blast talking to you, man. You're a beast, man. You inspire the crap out of me.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you as well, and thanks for having me on, and thanks to all your listeners.
Yes, sir. Everybody, I hope y'all enjoyed that one, and I hope everyone has a blessed day.